Well, thanks guys for getting together to taste the new Tondres. So we got the 18 Chardonnay here. It's being released just in a couple of weeks. So Bill, you were saying the 18 vintage was kind of a dream for a winemaker. I mean, the wine is smelling and tasting fantastic.
Yeah, my three key ingredients are great grapes, great people, and great barrels, and yeah, all three really united on this 18 Tondre. Beautiful vintage, beautiful weather, escaped rains. Yeah, and as you can tell, it just has a lot of depth, purity. Really shows the vineyard quite well, especially in this vintage, with abundant aromas, flavors, without being heavy-handed at the same time.
It's so beautiful. So Ryan, you taste all of the new wines from the vintages. So how does this compare to your first wines of a vintage?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tondre Grapefield is definitely a favorite of us here at the winery, both customers and staff. It's a wine that we look forward to the release every single year. And for me, it's one of those wines that it's a true Santa Lucia Highlands wine, right in the center of the appellation. And it is just beautiful right when it's released. It's very open, very expressive, doesn't require a long cellar time to unlock its potential. And I think that, as Bill said, this brand new release, this 2018 vintage, is already showing that. It's beautifully balanced. The nose is really expressive already, showing floral notes, soft orchard fruit, just in beautiful balance, really pretty. And then flavor-wise, again, it's really open and expressive already. Really well balanced. The acidity is fine, and just delicious wine already. A long life ahead of it, I think.
Yeah, this is. The acidity on there, the structure. I'm a texture freak, so just how that feels in the mouth is just. It's like, wow, this is an 18. Oh man, this is the beginning of the 18. I think we're gonna have a fun vintage, but we also have these are really ageable wines. And I know we're kind of tasting a lot of different things. So we got the 14 here. You guys want to try the 14?
Absolutely. It's a question that I get a lot in the tasting room from folks is, how long should I age my white wines? Can you age white wines? And in fact, it is a matter of personal preference. The wine will change as it gets older. But I know, Rob, you like your white wines with quite a bit of age on them. And certainly, I think all the wines in our portfolio really do show well when they've got some time on them. So yeah, really excited to try this wine, 2014 vintage Tondre.
Yeah, my favorite line I hear from a lot of our visitors is, I don't like Chardonnay, but I love this. I think our Chardonnay really brings just a lot of essence and purity, and almost like a well-tuned instrument that just is going to stay in tune throughout the years, because we work so hard in the field and the cellar, the blending, to get it just in harmony. And then our Chardonnays can go the distance beyond what is considered normal for California.
And, I have to say I have a bit of an ace up my sleeve here, because we actually tasted this as part of picking a new menu for our Taste of Testarossa food and wine pairing, and this was the favorite library Chardonnay of the tasting. So, look at the color. It's developed a little bit of color density here, but still really clean and clear looking. The nose is taking on a bit of maturation character, but really fresh.
Well, we only made 12 barrels of that 14, so there's not a lot of bottles that's left. But
certainly not.
It's so neat to see. It's still got that same beautiful texture, but that secondary and tertiary, the little nuttiness that you get from classic European aged wines.
Absolutely, and in the food and wine pairing, we chose to pair it with a fairly rich cow's milk soft cheese to accentuate that richness of texture that's developed over the last few years in bottle. And
I get asked all the time, how long should these wines age? And I usually respond, well, how many bottles are you buying? And if we're buying 2, well, they'll probably last about 3 weeks. But if you're buying a case or more, then kind of 5, 6, 7 years. That's the magical spot. Still got that youthful fruit, but the really developed character. And in the red wines, the tannins are more resolved. So I think we should move on and try the 17 Tondre Pinot Noir.
Yeah, this site, as Ryan noted, is in the heart of the Highlands, and it's one of the few sites on the other side of River Road, and I tend to see a little more clay in that soil, and that gives kind of a unique soft character. Back in the 90s, the Allarids got into farming almost by accident, really, when Tondre, Joe's father, decided to plant a few acres, and so they're relatively young to the wine business, but have had a meteoric rise these last 10, 15 years of really dialing into farming. And we're kind of pushing the limits of their clientele that they sell to, just with some of our farming practices we've implemented. So these last five years, it's just each year's just gotten better and better. With the,
you're loving that 14 Chardonnay. He doesn't want to move on to the
yeah.
Now, Rob, a question that we get again in the tasting room all the time is, this wine is obviously called the Tondre Grapefield. Now, most of our wines are called Vineyard. Why is the Tondre Grapefield a Grapefield and not
Well,
a
you
Vineyard?
know, Joe, when he and his dad were farmers in Salinas Valley for, well, their whole family goes back almost 100 years. And they have a lettuce field and a white bean field and an asparagus field. And so when the first wineries were coming to visit them, they said, well, meet me in the grape field. And they're one of the first wineries to put their name on the bottle. Thought it'd be a real fun homage to their family farming history. So, and then Tondre is Joe's dad. So you know, Joe's middle name is Tondre. So keeping that in there. So it's a testament to Joe's dad and to their family farming history. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of people love the uniqueness of the name.
Definitely, and Bill, you mentioned our great relationship with the Allerids as our growers, but we're also really lucky to have a wonderful relationship with them on the winery and hospitality side as well. Joe and Penny have been generous enough to donate their time and come to several Testarossa University events, grower luncheons, so they're definitely a grower that loves getting out there and seeing, you know, our guests and club members drink their wine. It's just really a valuable asset, I think, for us on all sides of the equation. And
it was really fun. At our first farm-to-table dinner we did, Chef Nadeem and their team actually got produce from the different Allerid farms, different fields. So we're not only were drinking, you know, Tondre Grapefield wines, but we were having an asparagus salad from their vineyard, you know, white beans. We're having, you know, their produce. So it was a real true farm to table, not just the wine in the glass, but the food on the table. It was a real special night.
Okay. Let's get into this wine.
Yeah.
So this is the 2017 Tondre Grapefield Pinot Noir, brand new release in the Single Vineyard Club in December.
17 was an interesting year, kind of a year of extremes, but yeah, the vineyards held up really well in the highlands because they cool down pretty well at night with those winds there at the Salinas Valley. And so yeah, definitely, you know, no shortage of red fruits and some citrus in this wine. And again, well-tended farming, thoughtful winemaking practices, and just being really patient and cautious with Pinot is key. But yeah, 17, I really like to capture that vintage in this particular wine. I don't want every vintage to be a carbon copy of the other. It's got to really reflect the place, the people, the season, and all the nuances that happen that season. So I feel it really is a great memory of that year. It brings back a lot of that year.
Yeah, every year's different. So,
Yeah.
and you're 18 years of making Pinot Noir here. It's you know, people are like, oh, that's so hard. It's like, well, and that's all you've been doing is making that for you know, almost 2 decades. It's you know, and we've been doing Pinot Noir here since 1994. So it's yeah, that's just what we do. So if other varietals are easier, well, maybe we should have done that. But these Pinot Noirs are too darn good.
And Bill, I definitely agree that 2017 is a pretty unique vintage. I'm absolutely loving it. I think it's got a really wonderful, bright, fruit-forward, aromatic expression, full of expression character. And Tondre, I said earlier about the Chardonnay, it's always a wine that's really balanced and expressive. And Pinot Noir, I definitely get the same impression. That's what I expect out of the Tondre Grapefield, and it's definitely here in this wine. It's so put together, well knit. The structure of it's gorgeous. The texture of it is just really, really lovely in the mouth. And what I'm surprised by is, you said no shortage of red fruit. The nose on this is almost explosively aromatic, especially for Tondre Grapefield. It's just beautiful, jumping out of the glass with all these fresh red fruits. And this is a wine that I always recommend. Tondre is one of your best bets. This wine is always just drinking beautifully.
Can't go wrong with that. Now, if you have that opportunity to store some of these and you know, proper temperature and humidity, the reward is well worth it. So it's, when Bill you know, took myself and the team to Burgundy in 2013 to visit the Coopers and so forth, one of the things all the folks making Pinot Noir there, they would always put their finger against the glass. And if you can't see your finger through it, then that meant it was over concentrated. And so we love that elegance, that delicacy, that beauty, that femininity, the elegance is just, if I only have 4 bottles left of this in my cellar, it's going to be gone in the next 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to toast to doing everything right along the way. I recently read a book that said perfection is doing all the little things right. And Bill, you and your team, you do all the little things right. Great job.